In my previous Wallace and Gromit video, I covered the history of Wallace's voice over the years and across various forms of media. A production that I didn't mention, however, is Wallace and Gromit's World of Invention, a TV series that originally aired on BBC One throughout November of 2010 and has since seen releases on both DVD and Blu-ray. This topic was originally suggested by Nathan Mann, and the reason I decided to cover the show is its relatively unknown status amongst casual audiences and fans alike. So why is it that so little people know about this series? Well, for starters, it's not a traditional set of Wallace and Gromit shorts. Instead, World of Invention adopts a documentary format, being primarily shot in live action with animated segments featuring the iconic duo placed throughout. This is likely what led to less viewership and overall popularity, as it defies what most people would expect to see when watching Wallace and Gromit. The promo video shown here was even animated specifically for this, and speaking of which, the animation from Aardman is on top form as always, with the stop motion process being something that never fails to amaze me. As a side note, there's this ident. Which begs a few questions and is probably the strangest Wallace and Gromit media we've seen besides, In my previous video covering the history of Wallace's voice, I stated that Peter Sallis's last performance was in 2012 for the N-Power advertisements. However, it turns out that these were actually broadcast much earlier than I thought, in 2010, placing them before World of Invention's release in November of that year. This means that the last words ever spoken by Peter Sallis as Wallace are heard at the end of episode 6. Being,
I'll say one thing for it, it doesn't half make a lovely cuppa, eh lad? Bottoms up, viewers.
Which I think you'll agree is a very Wallace line to go out on. On the other hand, Gromit, I find, takes more of a back seat throughout the series, which makes perfect sense as he is allegedly holding the show together behind the scenes. Though he does still make plenty of appearances overall, often popping up to provide moments of comedy timing and generally cleaning up after Wallace's many disastrous inventions. Some of which actually put poor Gromit through great amounts of suffering, as Wallace's obliviousness is taken to new heights in the series, leading to moments such as this, and this.
Geronimo!
Which you could perhaps call a little out of character even for Wallace. I mean, how could you not feel sorry for Gromit here? But besides these animated segments, the aforementioned live action elements take centre stage, showing off various real life inventions for Wallace to later make remarks on. Although Peter Sallis can be heard over these clips in certain instances, these documentary style segments are primarily narrated by the distinctly Scottish Ashley Jensen, who frequently addresses Wallace in character.
See what I did there, Ashley?
Aha! Very good, Wallace!
Upon searching for Goronwy, the name implies a noble Welshman, which leads nicely into the fact that I immediately recognised his broad Welsh accent, shamefully from Peppa Pig.
Right! To the hospital! Quickly now! Don't panic!
He plays Mr. Rabbit and the actual narrator, amongst other things. Oh, and for an Aardman connection, the farmer from Show the Sheep. Who would have guessed?